Another game you've been playing. Okay, I've got to preface this. The third and final game that you've been playing is the most story heavy game of them all, and I was surprised, that you know uh, just the tale that this tells about humanity, um, about one man getting blasted
And girl.
and girl. Yes, it's true. Um, a lot of blasting, Anton blasting, some might say.
Anton, oh my gosh, dude. Antonblast is a story about a guy named Anton who's really mad, and that's kind of so basically the game opens up and Satan's talking. He's like talking to his minions. He's like, "Ooh, who's the most red man of all time?" And then like his minions like, there's a guy named Anton who's really red, and then he's like, "Give me his pigment now!" And then they like come to your house and they steal your alcohol, and then you get really mad and you're like, I need to get my alcohol back. And then you kind of do that.
Uh-huh.
So that's the story. But what I will say is the like it's not the deepest story, but the character writing, because there's a lot of there's a lot of talking, not a lot of talking, but there's a lot
Mhm.
more dialogue in this game than there is normally in these sorts of games, and the writing is really good.
Hmm.
The game is hilarious. There are side characters you meet throughout levels that'll just say some really funny stuff.
Hmm.
There's a bartender who's kind of like you go to his bar and he's like the hub city, like the hub for your adventures through all these
Mhm.
places. And he's the guy you stole the alcohol from that Satan stole from you. So you go to him and you're like,
Hmm.
"Hey man, I'm sorry, your alcohol got stolen." And he's like, "Oh, I don't want you back in here." And he's like, "Well, if you let me stay here, I'll give it back to you when I'm done." And he's like, "Okay." So I was like, "Yeah." So there's that. There's really interesting like history between some characters and stuff. There's a lot of just like there's really just like cute little like sprinklings of things that make you go, "Oh, this is a real guy." Like, "Oh, this is a real thing." Um, but yeah, the story isn't really the main thing. I just think it's cool,
Right.
but the gameplay is crazy. If you played Wario Land 4, and like
Hmm.
Pizza Tower recently, um, this game is those games, but times 10. It's crazy. It kind of ramps it up, and it adds things to the mechanics of the Wario Land and Pizza Tower, whatever genre, that makes it unique. Where you're like, oh, I had like it's not like, oh, I've played Wario Land before. This is Wario Land. It's like, oh, this is the next kind of step in that genre if you
Hmm.
wanted to go even further. So there's a lot of so it's like if you've never played a Wario Land game before or Pizza Tower, essentially you're going through levels and you have a like bash button where you kind of like ram into people with Antonblast. You can keep pressing it and it'll just keep going forward faster and faster and faster. And inside your dash, you can jump or you can hit bad guys and just keep kind of like going. So you're constantly going fast and maneuvering, going crazy. And then he has this like, so when you're dashing, you get your combo meter goes up, so you get bigger points. So there's also that kind of aspect to it. There's a point arcadey kind of aspect to like getting the best score. If you're into that, the game isn't focused on that, which is nice,
Hmm.
but you can make it focus on that if you want to. So you're kind of going through fast, getting a high score, and then there's also a lot of secret things you can break. So you can like break a wall, like, oh, there's a thing over here. And so there's all these obstacles, like you can duck, where you turn into a bowling ball, you'll duck, spin into a bowling ball, hit some pins. You can like crouch and jump and do like dash jump thing.
Hmm.
There's a lot of cool movement mechanics within these levels. It's all kind of built around you being really fast, and also the game kind of throwing these fun little puzzles in front of you as you're going through. Also, he has a hammer, right? This is
Yeah. Yeah.
the coolest thing. He has a hammer, and if you jump and hit the attack button at the same time, pulls out his hammer and he starts spinning. And then if you press the attack button before you hit the ground, you can jump with it. So you can keep kind of spinning. So there's some walls that'll bounce you off if you do that. So you have to be like, okay, I'm running, jumping, hitting with the hammer, hitting again so I can jump off the wall. There's all these fun little obstacles where you have to keep thinking about how you're playing the game. And the level design is constantly switching it up on you. So there's always something to consider as you're going forward. But if you've played a Wario Land game before, once you get to the end, you have to run all the way back to the start.
All the way back, yeah.
So what's really cool about this game is the level feels like a completely different level on the way back because you've destroyed things on the way forward. So if you're aware of this, you can be like, I'm not going to break this. I might need it later. So, okay, I'm going to like hit this one a little bit and jump over it so I can save that so I can use, because clearly I'm going to have to jump from here to here, right? So it's like, if you have that mindset, you can do that to set yourself up when you're running back. There's so many instances of that. There's one where it's like, it's a bunch of crates, and then there's these other crates that are green. If you hit them, you die immediately. Well, as you're going through, you could hit the crates to knock down the green crates if you wanted to. But
I remember that part from the demo that I played.
But if you don't and you're going back, you're gonna hit it and you're gonna die. So it's like, it's so fun. But yeah, so the game is really interesting in a way that it allows you to so you play the level through the first time, and it gives you enough room to kind of like breathe and like explore and have fun and look around. But then after that, if you're a type of player who wants to do a time attack mode or a score attack mode or whatever mode, there's a time attack, score attack, maybe a collectathon mode. I'm not remembering, but you can like go back into the map and be like, I'm gonna do arcade mode and get the highest score. So it allows there's a lot of replayability if you're a person who is wanting to do arcade mode and be like, I want to get the highest score on the leaderboard, or I want to get everything in the map, or I want to defeat it. I want to beat this map as fast as I can. That's really cool. So yeah, it's awesome. It's really, really sick.
I love that you can go into and out of like the background and the foreground.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that's another core.
It's a huge gameplay.
Yeah, you can jump between the foreground and the background of the map. So the maps are kind of designed to be like going back and forth. Tons of puzzles where you're bouncing between here to destroy stuff, to jump up here, to go forward here. And then,
way more than the Mario games do. Like that's sort of a novelty. This is an actual part of the gameplay.
Yeah. So, and then there's also times like, because the game essentially is like each stage is like 3 stages in one, because there's the foreground, and then there's the background, which is 1 essentially. Then there's the going forward to the end, then going from the end to the beginning. So there's 3 different stages, and the way that it just kind of like organically changes as you're playing through the level is just like it's really enthralling. It's super engaging. Because I can find platformers to be kind of boring, because it's like, okay, I know I have to jump here and do this, and then I jumped a little too late, I'm dead. That's kind of like a basic platformer. But with here, there's so much freedom to how you can approach to play it. So it's like, okay, I dashed here, but I could also dash and attack and then jump here and go up a little higher and go over here instead. Like there's just like, but there's also, you got to think about it within the second, like it's like your brain's firing like super fast. So there's like so many seconds where you have to like decide. So if you die, you're like, okay, well, I kind of know what to do, and you just kind of adjust every second as you're going forward. Like I pressed dash a little too many times. Maybe I should hold back a bit and do this instead. It's just, yeah, it just feels so satisfying to play through. And it's definitely better than Pizza Tower, like because Pizza Tower was awesome.
Yeah, it's an
But
awesome game.
this,
Yeah, yeah.
but this just feels like way more fleshed out, way more like Pizza, because Pizza Tower was just a Wario Land kind of game, and it
Mhm,
wasn't anything beyond that. But this feels like, oh, this is like that plus something original,
mhm.
plus the art is like looks like a Nickelodeon like hand drawn cartoon. It looks awesome.
Sure.
The voice acting is really good. The music's really good. The level, my microphone fell. The level design is really good. Like it's just, I don't know. It's kind of the full package, and I'm pretty sure it's on the Switch too,
Yeah,
and
Steam and Switch.
it works on the Steam Deck as well.
Perfect
Um,
handheld game, man. Perfect hand. But this the kind of game that you wanna see on a bigger screen too.
mhm. It's yeah, it's really fun to look at. Like the
Cool.
art is crazy.
Nice.
Um,
Out now.
I yeah, I love it a lot, and it's also a game that these devs have worked on for like 5 years.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. In fact, I think I heard
uh,
about this before Pizza Tower, and then Pizza Tower came out, and I was like, "Wow, why do we
yeah,
need another one?" I mean,
yeah,
why Anton Blast is gonna be forgotten about 'cause it's been so long. Well, then all of a sudden this comes out. I started
yeah.
playing some of the demos in places. I'm like, "Oh shit, this is really cool."
I was in
Nice.
the same boat too.
Okay.
Like, cause like Pizza Tower was developed for pretty much the same amount of time, maybe a little bit longer. But both of these games kind of like exploded at the same time,
Yeah, yeah.
essentially.
They
One had
blasted
a
at the same time.
one
Thank you.
had a Kickstarter.
Mhm,
Anton Blast had a Kickstarter. Pizza Tower didn't.
mhm,
Um, but yeah, it's just so I was kind of worried for Anton Blast. I'm like, if Pizza Tower, like, it's so good,
mhm.
how is Anton Blast going to differentiate itself? And it
Sure.
does. It does it very well. It's like it does a good job of distancing itself from it.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, what it
Awesome.
costs like $20. Come on, like
Yeah.
that's cheap, and you can plug in your arcade stick if you have one and play it on an arcade stick.
That's
So,
cool. That's a nice addition.
yeah.
If you wanna play this arcade style for sure.
Mhm.